is a global conference organizing company. It's a research company, and it has its own media outlets as well. So the company itself is split up into several divisions, which look at different industries and does a lot of research and determines what's the most appropriate or most interesting thing that's happening in those industries, and it normally launches a conference for the benefit of the people working in that sector. So we've been around for 40 years, Emmanuel. You can talk about the oil and gas sector because I know you used to be involved in that, and you're expert in that sector. In our Dubai office, we have dozens of oil and gas events, ranging downstream, midstream, upstream oil and gas events, attended by most of the big industry players over there, the national oil companies. And then we have the defence section as well, which looks at surmounting operational problems which the Army or the Navy or the Air Force might have. We bring in world experts who are normally military experts who will come in and talk about what they've learned in their careers and what can be applied to the host nation, for instance. And as we're talking about Ghana, we're currently doing some work with the Ghana Armed Forces. We work with the Ghana Army at the moment, and also the Ghana Navy. Our measure of success, I suppose it's there are plenty of indicators. As a commercial company which has to finance its own events, we have to take into account the profitability of an event just as much as the market's need or want for an event as well. So of course, part of my role is to ensure that any event that we do has a level of self-financing to it and a reasonable level of profitability. That's one measure. Of course, one of our company values is to keep our customers at the heart of everything we do, and so we always, at the end of our events, we speak with them, we assess how the conference went, we take their views on board, we have a proper matrix which we assess afterwards and decide whether or not the conference could have been better delivered. We rank the speakers, we rate the speakers based on the audience and what their viewpoints of what the speakers were like, and so we know for next year how we can improve it. And of course, with a thing like a conference, a very easy way to measure its successful delivery is actually on site, to see how many delegates turned up, and also to count the seniority and worthwhile nature, I suppose, of the speakers or their presentations. And if you're an expert in defence, for instance, you can look through it, and the amount of generals or the amount of admirals you've got there, or the relevance of the people that they're representing is quite evident. And we spend a lot of time ensuring that our speaker faculties are of a very high standard, have the utmost seniority of speakers, and we fly them from all over the world to the local market. Well, I can't take all the credit. Okay, I wouldn't like to take all the credit at all. We have local partners over here, a Ghanaian think tank, an institute which is expert in maritime affairs, but also very plugged in with all facets of government. And I was speaking with some of our partners over there, and they were saying, do you know what the discourse, the narrative coming from the government at the moment, especially the president, is this whole element of made in Ghana, that they want to encourage things being made in Ghana. And I suppose we've looked into this, and we've done a bit of research. We've called companies over here, we've called consultancies over here and done our phone research with them, and we found it's very strategically aligned with the government's direction, is to improve the balance of payments deficit, to stimulate the local economy, and to strengthen the local currency here as well. And so we thought, well, that's interesting. It's interesting because we have in London a globally recognized event called the Global Local Content Summit, which has an awful lot of people from West Africa attending, and we thought, well, actually, we could bring our expertise from over there and perhaps launch something like that in Ghana, because we know it's so strategically aligned with the way the government's thinking. Generally, of course, we take these into consideration. Look, it might seem like old news that West Africa is a booming region or a region of great potential, but when you're here and you're working, and I've delivered several events here now in this region, and I've delivered a very successful one recently in Ghana. You take the international market's viewpoint on what the potential of Ghana is going to be, and you take that as a measurement as to whether your event's going to be successful. That's a bit of inside information about our business activity. So we got that with the Ghana Navy, for instance, when we delivered an event for them, because they're actually looking at the moment, despite the economic troubles of the country. They're still looking to purchase. It's business as usual for them, and so we got people from China, from Italy, all over the world coming over to meet with them and to do business. That's no different. Well, several things, and I think they've been corroborated by the new Minister of Trade today during his vetting interview, we go through a process of research and validation before we do an agenda. Typically, we'll have 1 or 2 people working on this for about 3 months. They will call people based in Ghana. Some businesses based in Ghana, consultants, they might call people in the academic sector. They'll do an awful lot of desk research themselves, and they'll take that basis, they'll create some draft topics, and they'll sense check them with more people in the know based in this region. And we've been using our local partners quite a lot for that as well, for their input. So I think that the salient themes that we're looking at, of course, is local content. And how that legislation is going to empower local Ghanaians into major international business operating over here. We also want to bring in academia to talk about innovative ways that the younger generation, for instance, can be encouraged to get into entrepreneurial pursuits, but also into established trade in Ghana, like agribusiness, which they're not finding so attractive at the moment. Yeah, I suppose it's a case of doing the research and trying to align what we found with the strategic objectives of the country. Of course, the main issue of it, and the tagline that we're doing, is to try and redress the balance of payments deficit, because we know that that's very important for the longer-term prosperity of Ghana. But one thing I can tell you about the vehicle of our conference is that it gives people an opportunity to ask sometimes difficult questions, but to engage in a level of discussion which is going to come out with some solutions or some answers. So it's not just lecture after lecture after lecture. There's an awful lot of networking, introductions being made. Yes, we've got some of the right IOCs here. We've got invitations out for more of them to come along. We're not just focusing on Ghanaian examples, by the way. We're taking examples from Nigeria and their local content law, and we have people from Nigeria coming over to talk about what's gone right and what's gone wrong for them. I think when you come to the conference in December, Emmanuel, you'll see you'll see that it's not just an opportunity for IOCs to give platitudes and to talk about what they're doing and how they're doing it right. It's also an opportunity for them to get feedback from some of the stakeholders and for some people that don't think that they're going far enough. It's a conference which will try and come out with some outcomes which are useful for everybody that is involved. When we get members of government there, we want them to take some of the things that we've discussed and consider them for their own plans. And what we normally do is we will have several of our people at the conference. Some of them will be assigned to actually studying some of the presentations, writing a report afterwards, and circulating that to the people who attended. So we hope that the conference is going to come out with some outcomes that Ghana itself will be able to think about and maybe introduce into its policy. We anticipate somewhere in the region of 250 people to be attending this. Remember, this is not an exhibition. This is a focused event. We are aiming for the very top people in Ghana, all the proper authorities or experts in the local region who can come in and bring their own experience there. So what we're aiming for here is something where everybody is an influencer, or everybody knows someone who is an influencer, or everyone is a decision maker, so that in that concentrated period of 3 days, you can be sure that every C-level executive that turns up, or every minister, or every civil servant that turns up is doing proper, focused, engaged business. Okay, and the outcomes of that are going to have more ramifications, hopefully, positive ramifications.